Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, folks. The football
We're back!
wrestling podcast.
We
How
are
we bring you
back!
every
Yes! This time tomorrow night,
Take
we
it
will
away.
be watching football. It's back. Praise the Lord Jesus, Allah, and anyone else you want. No more Coronation Street, no more EastEnders, and no more Love Island. I am salivating at the mouth at the thought of Burnley and Manchester City. Not even my teams. I'm salivating. Oh, Niall, it's making me excited. Oh,
I wish I shared your excitement.
oh.
Well, anyway, we are back. So if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, drop a like on the video. It is Thursday. It's our first Thursday tier talk of the season. So we're going to be giving you our Premier League predictions for the weekend. We're going to be giving you our season predictions. We're going to be giving you some of our bets for Beat the Bookie, so we can lose more of your money for you.
Do you know what?
Where did we begin?
I've got new strategy for Beat the Bookie. I've got new strategy.
Lower odds are more consistent.
No, I've got strategy, and I'll go through it later on when we get to that part of the show, Noel.
Interesting. This sounds like we're going to be delving into your fantasy football theories and stuff like that. No, but we'll see.
I've everything.
But I got this today. The greatest show on earth returns. And there's the man of the moment from last season, Haaland spinning those balls. I keep on telling people the greatest show on earth is Thursday Tier Talk, but they don't believe me.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I was just on Del Boy Gunner TV's channel, Del's channel.
How are the Gunners? How are they doing?
It was good. It was a mixed panel. So we Johnson Clare on for Newcastle. Early Doors was on.
Did you find a Newcastle fan, yeah?
Yeah, John's big Newcastle fan. Big channel as well. Yeah, doing big things. Has Warren Barton on at times and everything,
You know of a really small place in my heart for Newcastle?
You do?
I always say it.
Yeah.
It's a really small place in my heart for Newcastle. I really do. I just think that fans are unbelievable. Like, just outrageous, they're right up there with the top fans and atmosphere in the country.
John is the epitome of that. John is all in Newcastle.
Daddy. Love that.
Let's take some comments. John. Welcome our chat back to Thursday Tier Talk. Eno's back in. That's the crack, Noel. All good, my friend. All good. Nice day we had. Lovely weather while it lasted, yeah.
Yeah.
I was busy down at an NCT centre losing my mind, but however. Daz is in. What's the crack at Niall and Dazzler? Hope you're both well today. And you, Daz, hope you're doing it. Acers, it's football mania. Absolutely.
Sure is.
Football mania. Fred the Red Turkish Delight of the Fenerbahce, I think it is it?
Sure is.
And Daz Reynolds. Do you know something? Him going after Fenerbahce, I think Fulham have missed an opportunity there, just putting it out there. Daz, at Acer, Sting is back in AEW. Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest, based on the last couple of weeks. And Doug is in. How are you, my friend? Hey, Niall and Daz, good to see you in there in the chat and stuff like that. So, of course, give us your predictions. Give us, and Daz is in. Big up, Doug. Hope you are well today, yeah. Good to see you all in the chat. Make sure you're giving us your predictions as you go along. And if you are having a little flutter, of course, gamble responsibly. And, of course, let us know if you're doing or picked out a few nice bets for the weekend as well. Share the wealth, as they say.
The one thing I would say was there wasn't loads of value, was there?
No. But I found some.
No, I have to tell you. But, listen, we made a few selections. We'll go through our preview first. And I'll give you me selections later, but there wasn't loads of value in the opening weekend, I have to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so let's get into it. This is how the weekend is shaping up. So we'll start tomorrow night, it all kicks off. And as I said when the fixtures came out, when we did the fixture show during the summer, I said it's really nice to see the winners of the championships and the winners of the Premier League kicking off the new season. And we felt that that's how it should be. That's the way it should be.
100%.
So Burnley versus Man City at Turf Moor.
Yeah, listen, obviously it's a huge task for Burnley on their return to the Premier League. I think, they were the best team by a country mile in the Championship last season. There was absolutely no other team that got near Burnley. Burnley were unbelievable under Vincent Kompany. I have done a little bit of business. Haven't done as much business as maybe I would have thought they would have done. But definitely. Company has Burnley moving in the right way. City, obviously, defending champions, Champions League, the treble, everything. They've had all the plaudits thrown at them. Unbelievable. Few little changes at City now. Few little changes. Obviously with the boy Vardiol coming in and Gundogan leaving the building and Kovacic coming in, Mahrez leaving the building. They're still looking for a replacement for Mahrez. I expect to see City make a couple more signings before the end of the window, if I'm honest.
Definitely.
Certainly one, but probably two. I think this is set up for City, if I'm honest. I think it's a huge occasion for Burnley on Turf Moor and make things very, very difficult for Man City. And Vincent Kompany do his absolute best to go out and get something, but I just think it's a very, very tough opener for Burnley. I got to be honest with you. And as much as it's nice to match up the champions from the Championship and the Premier League champions, it's a tough draw on the first night, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a huge task for them and stuff like that. But what an occasion, Vincent Kompany and all and stuff like that. Yeah. Like the narrative and the story sets itself. And I just, as I said, I think it's a real cool idea to match up the winner of the Championship versus the winner of the league. I just think it's nice as well, because what it does is it gets your fans up and going straight away. Arguably one of the biggest games of your season. You know what I mean? Full packed house at Turf Moor tomorrow. Not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. They'll turn it into a war of attrition. There's no doubt.
It's a baptism of fire. It really is. And the boy James Trafford, obviously the goalkeeper, has gone to Burnley, 20 million.
Yeah.
Huge fee. Obviously didn't concede a goal in the European Championships that England just won, the under 21s and stuff like that. He was fabulous. He was very, very good. Got him the move, I would think. Had a great season last season at Bolton, but that kind of solidified his move. And obviously Burnley have gone out and spent 20 million. He's going to have a game and a half tomorrow night if Burnley are to get anything out of this. And is he capable of it? Absolutely. But I'm not quite sure there's enough around him to kind of keep City at bay for 90 minutes. I think they're going to create chances. And I think, when that man Erling Haaland is around, there's usually goals afoot, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, Daz has come in and he reckons 2-0.
I was going to go 3-1 City.
I'm thinking, do you know what I'm thinking? I have a theory on this. I think, and I'm going to put it out there because I have it in my Beat the Bookie anyway, so I have this down as a draw. Don't ask me why. I just think there's a lot of layers to it and stuff like that. And I just think because, as you said, the keeper in there, the Vincent Kompany thing, Turf Moor, real tough place to go, tough pitch,
real tough place to
football,
go.
But to play good football and all, it's an absolute bog, so it doesn't set up nicely for City's game. Now, what I could say, in reality, I was trying to, as you said, look for odds when we were doing our bets and stuff like that. But I think in reality, what happens is it might take City a bit of time to break them down. But ultimately, I think City's class may shine through in the end. But I think it'll be a tight enough game until the latter stages. But I think Burnley, are going to give a very good account of themselves, and I think it'll be tight enough.
Yeah, I think it'll be competitive, but I just think towards the end you'll see City's quality shine through, and that's why I'm going. 3-1.
Yep, cool. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest.
Good setup this for Arsenal. Nice little confidence builder, I think, for Arsenal, obviously to go out and get a victory at home and get the ball rolling early. If Arsenal really show up, I've heard some great things about that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm really
haven't had a minute to watch it yet, but I know a couple of people have watched it and said it's phenomenal. So yeah, I think if Arsenal are really at it, they could end up thumping Forest here 3 or 4-0. I think it's opening day. I think they always like to open up a little bit like that. And I think we'll see Saka and Odegaard and Martinelli back at it straight away, and obviously Havertz probably play through the middle as well. I expect Arsenal to win this very, very comfortably. And I'm gonna go 4-0.
Yeah, I think it could be a tough season for Forest. I love Stevie Cooper and stuff like that. I love the Forest fans, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I don't know how much they've kicked on from last season, and last season was quite a struggle.
Now here's the one thing I will say. Obviously, last season he had a huge number of players that he had to try and bed in. He doesn't have that this season. I think they've made 3 signings now, counting the boy Matt Turner. And they did unearth a couple of little jewels, you know. They did. The boy Danilo in the middle, the Brazilian lad, looked fabulous towards the end of the season. Looked like a real baller. They've lost a couple of their loan signings and stuff like that, which is obviously, you know, Dean Henderson is gone, Keylor Navas is gone, I think Renan Lodi is gone. So there's quite a few of these Lingard. There's quite a few of these loan signings who have left the building and stuff. So the squad is starting to tighten up a little bit. You'll probably start to see, you know, a 16 to 20 week to week that you can you could put your finger on for first, which you couldn't do last season, which can be a good thing. But also, I think they still need a little bit of a sprinkling of quality. I'm a big fan of a couple of the lads there. Brennan Johnson, you know, the boy Morgan Gibbs-White, phenomenal footballer. Really, really like this kid. I just think at the back, they're a bit light. You know, obviously they've signed the boy Matt Turner for now. He's going to be their goalkeeper, you know. But I think they're light defensively. And I think they need reinforcements if they're going to stay in the league.
Yeah, I think so. You're spot on there. Just Trossard has to start as striker. For me, I would be starting Trossard, but there's something going on there with Arteta and Trossard. I know there was a bit of issue there towards the end of the season last season. There was a bit of a slight bit of a falling out, let's say, and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if that will be the case. Daz is in, big up. Redbird's in the house. How are you, Redbird? Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Daz is in as well. Big up, Redbird. Hope you are well. I think this has Arsenal all over it. It's hard to predict the scoreline. They could absolutely run a riot. This could be done in 25 minutes, maybe, you know. But yeah, I think you're right on Cooper there. I think a smaller squad for him to work with, I think will work better. And I think, as you said, if he's dealing with less loanees, because I think when you have such a level of loanees as well, although they'll be committed and they'll go out and they'll give you the 90 minutes and all, they'll never be that committed.
It just makes life a little more difficult because they don't have, you know, and they've kind of got eyes everywhere where they're thinking a big year here could move me up. A bad year is going to move me down. If I do enough, I might just get the contract here. I think loan signings are tough to deal with, you know. Yeah,
but I just think when you have that level of them, it's a tough one because I think what you often find, as you said, with loan signings, they're always looking to the next situation. They're never kind of in the now. And that's really where Stevie needs those boys. Bournemouth versus West Ham.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough day for West Ham. I've got to be honest. I expect, obviously, Bournemouth under Iraola to come out of the blocks really, really fast. You know, obviously done a stellar job in Spain over the last few years. You know, they've recruited Burnley. They've bought some decent players. Alanga's a great show. He won't play as a main striker. He'll play on the right or on the left, and Johnson will play and Gibbs-White will play. I don't think Forest's big problem is going forward. I think it's at the back, keeping clean sheets is going to be a struggle. But back to Bournemouth, I think they've done some decent recruitment, Bournemouth. I think West Ham, on the other hand, their recruitment hasn't been good so far. I think they're the only team not to sign anybody else yet, if I'm right.
Got a guy in today. Your man Edson Alvarez signed today.
Sorry, you're right. The boy Edson Alvarez. He's a very good footballer, by the way. Yeah. Very good footballer. And I mean, if you're talking about the boy Edson Alvarez, you know, there's obviously big talk of Harry Maguire, and there's a fee agreed there. James Ward-Prowse is on the way in. So it's starting to evolve at West Ham. West Ham need a striker. They paid big money for the boy Gianluca Scamacca last year. Didn't hit his straps. Has gone this season. 25 plus 5. So a 30 million package for him to leave. West Ham need a striker. They're in need of goals. And Mikel Antonio can't kind of, you know, have the burden put on him again this season. Although he's got, you know, for now, Paqueta, and he's got Bowen and stuff like that around him. But they need goals. Missing Declan Rice as well is going to be huge. I can see Bournemouth getting a victory here. I think at home, they make it really, really difficult for teams. It's a tight pitch. The stands are right up onto the sidelines and stuff like that at the Vitality. And I just think Bournemouth will be ready to go under their new manager this weekend.
Yeah, I think for West Ham, there's been issues there, hasn't there? Talk on the manager, talk on the transfer window. talk of Paqueta potentially going to Man City, so his mind may not quite
Huge.
be on the job.
I'd be surprised if he plays.
Yeah, and that
So I mean,
could be huge for them.
if you take out Paqueta and Rice, they are two best players, right? And then you take out the fact the boy Skamaka can't now either come off the bench or start. You're struggling for a striker as well. Like that West Ham squad needs attention. You know, as much as they've done well to obviously win the conference there at the end of last season, there was kind of a perfect storm there where Paqueta was playing out of his boots, Rice was there, Bowen was unbelievable. Everything just kind of fell for them. They need work all the way down the spine of that team. They need centre-backs, they need midfielders, and they need strikers. And unless
And also last season in Europe, you got to remember, they built on the experience of the previous season, which worked really well for them as well. They went close to previous season, you know, so naturally they were going to try and kick on stuff like that. But yeah, I think West Ham are going to have it's going to be an indifferent season for them. I think this season.
I don't see Moyes lasting long, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, and I think if you're a West Ham fan as well, I like James Ward-Prowse coming in. Apparently, he's going to be announced tomorrow.
Great deal.
I think he was doing a medical today, and they're getting him for 30 million, which is.
Well, I mean, look at what you're doing now. You know, straight away, Alvarez, really good footballer. This kid, Mexican international, played at Ajax. Ajax turned down 50 million from Chelsea last January for this kid.
Yeah,
turned it down because they were obviously, you know, they had the money from Anthony and they had the money from Martinez that they didn't need this to go ahead. And obviously, Alvarez has left and Timber has left now as well, and Onana left last summer and stuff like that. So huge outgoings there. But for me, I think Alvarez is a great signing. I think Ward-Prowse, great signing. I think at the level West Ham are at, I think Harry Maguire is a great signing.
Yeah,
I really do. But again, they need goals. Mikel Antonio and Danny Ings love an injury. They absolutely love an injury between the two of them.
Yeah.
And there's not enough goals in the squad. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I suppose if you're a Hammers fan, maybe you would have expected maybe a little bit better use of the Rice money, slightly better use. Would that be a fair comment?
I don't think so, personally. Well, when we look at it, I mean, like Alvarez is a good footballer, Ward-Prowse really good footballer. They're two lads that are coming in to take the one position that kind of Rice has gone from. You know, you've got that ball winner Alvarez who puts his foot on it and kind of screens the back four, and then you've got a guy like Ward-Prowse who he can give the ball to and say, go about and play that little quarterback position that you like to play, James. Pick the ball up in pockets and spray it about. Two really good footballers, and I think Maguire makes the centre-back position a lot more solid for West Ham. But again, goals are going to be a struggle. Goals are going to be a struggle. It's the biggest commodity in football, goal scoring.
Yeah.
And there's too many teams
especially in the
league.
Premier League. Especially in the Premier League.
There's too many teams right now in the Premier League that look light at that striking end of the pitch, and that's where it's going to come back to bite them.
Yeah. Brighton versus Luton.
I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth.
I
didn't give you a pick for that.
Yeah.
I only see Brighton winning this game here. I think this is you know, set up for Brighton at home. Get some of those new signings on the pitch. Obviously, they're going to be out without Alexis McAllister, and they're going to be without Caicedo. Caicedo won't play either way, whether it's Liverpool, Chelsea, wherever he's going. He's not going to play this weekend because his head's not in it. You'll see the boys out Pedro. You'll see Matoma. You'll see Ferguson. You'll see Enciso. You know, you'll see Lewis Dunk. You'll see Steele. Or maybe the boy Verbruggen. Lots of good stuff from Brighton. More to come from Brighton for me. And I just think they'll have too much in the bank for Luton this weekend.
Yeah, tough place to go as well, the Amex, isn't it? It's not that easy as well. They're really, really good there. And of course, you would like to think Luton would go there and maybe kick them a bit and give that bit of physicality and a bit of thing. But they've
got a bit of that, but there's just too much quality at Brighton. They're going to move things too quickly. You know, they're going to move the ball really sharp. And they're a really skilled side. Like, if you look at how clever they became, and like guys that you're looking at week to week, you know, you see like a Veltman and you see a Pascal Gross or you see a Webster or a Dunk. They're not world class, right? But when you put them in, you know, every week 7, 8 out of 10, and they battle They got clever at doing things. They do the simple things really, really well. They
It's
don't cough up lots of mistakes.
Good quality coaching.
It's they're really moving on the right way, Brighton,
Yeah.
and I think they'll do a number on Luton here. I think 3-1 Brighton.
Yeah, that's gone for 5-0, but Evan Ferguson could definitely fill his boots. But I think when you look at the Serbi, you look very like Emery as well. You look at just good, precise, quality coaching. I don't think anyone steps onto the field for Brighton not knowing what their job is.
Absolutely. And if you do, he's going to let you know about it pretty quickly, because he is very vocal. But he's very vocal. He's constantly in guys' ears telling them, no, yes, up, down, go, left. You know, I like
he nearly kicks every ball, doesn't he? He nearly kicks every ball.
He absolutely does. Absolutely does.
Everton versus Fulham?
Yeah, like, I suppose if we just touch on what you said earlier about Fulham missing the boat a little bit, I think you're right. I think the Fred signing would have been great for Fulham. Yeah. I think if you have the boy Paulinho at the base and you put Pereira and Fred ahead of him with that kind of energy and that combative nature, and then you have a couple of wingers and then a focal point going through the middle, I think you're doing really, really well. I think they've missed the boat on it for the money he's gone for. They're talking about the package being all in at 15 million. That's a snip. 30-year-old Brazilian international, you know, it's a snip. Should have got the deal done. I know Marco Silva wanted to get the deal done, but there seems to be issues. There seems to be financial issues of Fulham. Yeah,
I think they had an opportunity maybe to rediscover that Shakhtar Fred again with the way they set up and stuff and the way they play football. But I think with Marco Silva as well, I was looking at Marco Silva. I think he did an interview today. I was looking at it on Sky Sports, and it looks like it's the last seat on the planet he wants to be sitting in. We know there was a big offer in from Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, so I'd be a little bit concerned about that. Daz is telling us 1-1. He thinks Everton and Fulham will all. I think Fulham will probably win this. I'm very concerned for Everton this season, and not because I'm a Liverpool fan. I just think with Everton at the moment, they've been skating around it now a couple of seasons, and I think this season they have done nothing to convince me they won't be still in trouble this season. And if they start off slow, they could be in serious trouble.
Well, the first thing I look at is I obviously look at having Dyche there throughout the whole summer, which is huge, because he will have those lads absolutely drilled into what he wants from that team. They'd quite a few injuries at the end of last season, Everton, so they're getting lads back on the pitch from that. They've cut the size of the squad down a little bit. They're trying to add in places, you know. They have the boy Danjuma, who's obviously going to come in. He'll play high on the left-hand side. If Dwight McNeil, I still think they're shy on goals, Everton. I think they're going to play very similar to Burnley under Sean Dyche, which is keep it as tight as we can and try and nick a goal here and there. You know, set pieces, Tarkovskis, guys like that. That's how they're going to play, and that's how they're going to set their style out week to week. I think this is probably going to be a draw. I have 1-1 written beside this. I don't think there'll be loads of goals. I think Fulham obviously need to add a bit of quality up front with Mitrovic probably leaving the building. I don't think the boy Jimenez is anywhere near what they need. And I think Everton as well need goals in that team. Damari Gray hasn't yet left Everton, but he has put his thing in the window to say, Fulham, come and get me. That's where he wants to go. And I think, you know, you take out Gray's goals, Calvert-Lewin is constantly injured. Everton are going to be shy on goals. I'm going 1-1 with this one.
Okay. Sheffield United, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to this, Ross. Hey, Panov, how are you, buddy? Really looking forward to this one, because I think it's going to be interesting to see how Crystal Palace evolve under Roy Hodgson. Obviously coming back in and taking the gig again, which I think was great for Roy and great for the club. Obviously, Zaha's left the building. The boy Michael Elise is pretty close to leaving the building, if you believe things. It's going to be either Chelsea or Man City is the destination. But, you know, I think Eze is really throwing himself into a top footballer. Don't see him at Palace much longer if he keeps us up. You know, obviously Elise is getting the move to City, but I think you could see Eze move in the next year to 18 months if he keeps things up. Obviously going into the England squad. And I'm looking forward to see what Sheffield United have. Their home form is huge for them. It was huge last season. It's going to be huge this season if they're going to try and keep themselves in the division. Although I think that is a stretch for them, if I'm honest. This weekend, though, I think Palace will just get the better of them here. And I'm going 2-1 Palace.
Yeah, did I read today they're linked with the City boy Cole Palmer, who scored the goal, I think, in the Community Shield?
Palace already?
Yeah, I think it's Palace who were linked with him today. I think it's Palace. Anyway.
I got to be honest,
sure.
That's a super signing if Palace can do that. Because
Yeah,
this kid, by the way, who went over to under 21s, got the goal as well, got a couple of goals in the tournament as well. Really good footballer, this lad. Plays on the left-hand side, likes to tuck in on his right foot, has a goal. Would obviously balance out from losing Zaha. You know, but then again, what's going to happen is you're going to lose Olise from the other side. So you got to then get someone in to match up with that. Yeah. And then you still got Eze to play behind, you know, who I don't really think Palace have a very recognised striker for me. I think Edouard and Mateta both kind of toil a little bit and don't do the job 100%, you know. I think Palace will nick it, but I think it'll be a hard fought game, you know.
Yeah, Morris is in Big Up GP Productions podcast. Darren, when Fred, McTominay and Maguire leave, who are United fans going to turn on like they did your all-time goal scorer, Wayne Rooney?
Who will we turn on then? Don't know, Morris.
That's Anthony tough. Would probably be the target, wouldn't he? If Anthony doesn't hit his
he'd be your target, because we know you're not an Anthony fan.
No, but I think if he doesn't hit the straps that you want him to do, and he's a bit of showboat and all that kind of thing, that doesn't work out, I think United fans might get a little bit.
Got to be honest, there's so many people on the list before Anthony for me. You know, Jadon Sancho, Christian Eriksen. Like, you know,
true.
There's guys like that way further up the list for me than singling out the boy Anthony, if I'm honest. That's where I'd say it anyway.
Yeah, let's see what happens anyway. What did you give me for Sheffield United and Palace?
I'm going 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace. Okay, interesting. And then Newcastle Villa rounds out Saturday. It's
great game, isn't it?
Game. This is
great
one of the games of the weekend.
I see Villa just linked with Nicolo Zaniolo. Zaniolo at he's the ex-Roma lad. He's playing in Turkey at the minute. And Emery just really, really loves a good footballer, building a super squad there at Aston Villa. Huge season this for Aston Villa. I think, and I'm gonna put me head out there, me neck out there. You want to put your head above the parapet and then they start firing shots at you.
Yeah.
I think Aston Villa could run the top 4 close for a space this year.
Well, we will be talking about it, and it could be top 5. Could be top 5.
Could be depending on the coefficient. That's right.
Yeah. So just we have to let everyone know in the chat as well. We are going to be doing our predictions at the end of the show. We're going to go say top 7, say, because of the top 5 situation, and we're going to go our bottom 3 relegation as well. So keep your thoughts on that, folks, for towards the end of the show. We're going to be dropping them as well. Bonkers is in, Big Up Bonkers, and Henry as well. Henry right back. Go check out his channel. He is lashing out the content at the moment, all day nearly at this stage. Fair play to Henry. Big Up Bonkers. Cashado news, please. Are we bidding 100 million more or what? The talk is Brighton want it sorted this evening. I can't, unless the talk of Klopp leaving the building has made FSG wake up and find another 55 million. I'm not too sure. I can't believe we're going to fall 3 million short of Lavia and then suddenly sign Cashado. I can't see it. I just can't see it.
I read earlier on that, again, it's whatever way you look at these things, that this was Liverpool's warning shot to Chelsea to say, don't get involved in the Lavia deal and we won't get involved in the Caicedo deal. You know, you stick to your... But when I read something earlier on as well, I read that apparently Liverpool feel like Lavia is not worth the 50 million, but they've bid almost 46. And they're like, why are we discussing this? Like, do you know,
no,
like this
is the nonsense like coming out going, oh, we actually
yeah.
pulled out of the Jude deal. It wasn't Jude and all. It's
Oh
shit.
God.
You know what I mean? It just the more they put this stuff out, the worse it starts to look. You know what I mean? And it's just I was listening to the Terrace today, and Big Steve was on. He's a Man City fan. He was on with Terry on the Terrace, and they were talking about Lavia. And Steve said he was talking to someone close to Lavia, and apparently Lavia is all in on Chelsea, and that's why the bids haven't been accepted, because actually Lavia wants to go to Chelsea. That's what he heard. So,
but you will still come up short of the 50 either way, right?
Yeah.
So the bid has to be accepted at Southampton before it gets to Lavia.
Yeah, well, apparently that's the talk. Apparently that's the talk. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
It would be less of a move, right? Because obviously Southampton are down on the south coast. Lavia could stay pretty close to where he lives, I'd imagine, and still play for Chelsea. Whereas if you sign for Liverpool, it's uprooting everybody, whoever's with him, and going much higher up much further north, you know.
Yeah, Morris is in. How's Martial still there? That does boggle the mind, but I think he's injured again, Darren, isn't he? So there's not a whole lot.
He's injured again, so there's nowhere. You know, he's not going anywhere at the minute. He's another one of those guys with Christian Eriksen and Jadon Sancho that, you know, is starting to run out of time. Hey, Del Boy, good to have you, pal. He's one of the ones that's obviously he's got less lives left than a lot of other people. And when you get to that 9th life, you're dead, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Villa Newcastle, we go back there.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that. I think obviously that 3-3 game a couple of weeks ago, I don't think it's going to play a huge part, because I think when it's pre-season like that, everybody's a little bit of a step further back than they need to be.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, you know, at the weekend, it'll be hell for leather. I wouldn't be surprised to see a goal here and there, though. And I'm actually going to go 2-2. Interesting.
Yeah, not a bad show. Del Boy's in. I was just on Del Boy's channel earlier. We were giving our predictions and talking about our own teams for the season and stuff like that and all. And it was a tough one. I agree with you, Darren. Spot on. That's all right, Del Boy. Henry just done the Ghostbuster film. Nice. Big up. Thanks for the shout out. Not a problem anytime, man. Imagine wanting golden boots over trophies. Thought of the day. Do you know what I don't think? I don't think it's the golden boot thing. I think he wants to stay in the Prem, and he wants to move to a Prem team, and he knows that Levy won't let him do it in this window unless there's a massive offer comes in, massive, unrefusable offer. And I think personally he wants to go in the Prem, and he wants to win something in the Prem. I'm not too sure. He could go off to Bayern Munich. The contract is there, 5 years. It's agreed with the clubs. It's only for him to put pen to paper if he wants it. But I'm not sure. How do you feel about this? Even if he goes off to Germany, wins a Bundesliga, wins a German Cup, wins a couple of them and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Got to be honest, right?
Now. Yeah.
I got to be honest. And I disagree completely with Morris. If you're Harry Kane and somebody offers you 2 Bundesligas, let's say a cup each season, right? And a spin in the Champions League. Let's say he's there for 2 years.
Potentially even the Champions League. Who knows?
Let's say he's there, yeah. And he wins, you know, a couple of Bundesligas and a couple of cups in Germany. Or he stays put at Spurs, decides he's not signing the contract and tells Levy, I ain't signing, right? And then ends up in January, maybe, you know, somebody comes to test the waters with a bid. Now there's only 6 months left. Throw 50 million at them in January from or something like that. I think Kane wants to stay in the Premier League, but I think that record is huge for him. I think it's absolutely huge. And if I'm honest, what would I prefer, to be the Premier League all-time goal scorer or 2 Bundesligas? I'll take the Premier League all-time goal scorer. Thanks very much.
That's kind of the thinking. I was thinking if Kane
100%.
goes out for the year and he goes next year on a free, he could go to you. He might seem attractive to City at the time. He could certainly go to Arsenal. He could definitely go to Chelsea. And I think no matter where he goes, I think no matter where he picks, he instantly elevates that team. Like if you bring Kane
Absolutely.
into your team this summer, straight away you're in a title race. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about it, and right
absolutely.
around it. And I think from that point of view as well, I think he could also cement success.
And you know what? I think what's happening is he's playing a very clever game. I think he's told Levy, I ain't signing. And I think he's probably getting prepared to tell them, I'm also not going to Bayern. I'm sitting here until this contract is up. And then I'm going to survey what's going on around me. And I'm going to see how Pochettino's getting on at Chelsea with Bowley and with the squad. I'm going to see how close Ten Hag gets United to City. And can another 10 or 15 goals close the gap? I'm going to see where Newcastle are in the grand scheme of things with Eddie Howe and the money they've had to spend. You know, that's what I think Kane is going to do. And I think then it's going to be about, I think he'll walk on a free next summer. I personally think he walks on a free next summer. Unless
else he takes that massive contract off Spurs, which is massive, I heard.
No, he's not re-signing with Spurs. Absolutely not. Because he knows that's then death by Spurs, because he'll never get out. So he doesn't take it. I don't think he goes to Bayern, because I think he wants the Premier League record. And I think he'll just bide his time. And I think maybe in January, Spurs might say, listen, we'll take 50. Somebody give us 50 from. We were going to take 100 now. We'll take 50 from anybody, Premier League and anything, just so we get something in the door to balance the books with what we need to do next summer and whatever. But I don't see him signing anything. I've got to be honest. Yeah. And I think he'll go, and I've called me 3 shots there. I think it's United, I think it's Newcastle, or I think it's Chelsea next summer from.
Yeah. The one thing I would say about it is if he doesn't move to Germany and he does go on a free to a Premier League club next summer, I think he'll potentially win a Premier League. I think he will.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's a stretch at all. Like,
depending on how far away those 3 teams are. We know he's not going to Arsenal. He's not going to Arsenal. And I think it's City realises he's going to be back up to Haaland. Right.
Tell me what you think he's not going to Arsenal.
I don't think he's going to Arsenal. I just think it's too much the North London divide. And I know other guys have done it. I know Campbell has done it and stuff like that, but I don't think Harry Kane goes to Arsenal. For me.
I think Kane is the missing link at Arsenal to win the Premier League.
Oh, from Arsenal's point of view, absolutely. 100%. But I don't think that works on Harry Kane's side, personally. I don't think so. I think he'd look at Chelsea because it's a little bit further away in London. I think he'd look at Newcastle, depending on if they're still involved in Champions League, if they're still, taking steps in the right direction. And I think he'll have a look at United, but I don't see him heading anywhere other than them 3.
Brian, good one. Surely Kane looks far too much like the World War II RAF pilot who ever played in Germany.
I'd say you're right, Brian.
That could be spot on, all right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Henry's in. Big up, Brian. Thanks for your help earlier. Yeah, absolutely. Are you still here, Del Boy? Are you still here, Del Boy? Put it out into the ether there. Where are we then? Sunday, Derek. Brentford versus Spurs. Speaking of Spurs, Brentford versus Spurs.
Yeah, interesting to see what Spurs turns up, because obviously there's a lot of talk going on. And this has got to be a huge headache for Postecoglou. He's come in, he's looking to, shake up that squad. Obviously, they've made the Kulusevski deal permanent. He's got the big Dutch centre-back, Van de Ven, in. He's looking at another centre-back, maybe Tapsoba. And they've got Solomon in on the left. So they've done a little bit, Spurs. But I still think they're miles off where they need to be, especially if we're talking about losing Harry Kane.
Yeah, big old Graham in.
They are miles away. Hey, Grahammer.
Graham's in saying no matter when Kane goes, Son won't be long behind him, and that's our 50+ goals a season scorers gone. Interesting.
I'd say you're pretty close on that, Graham. But I think what might happen is if they sell off the 2 crown jewels like that, you're talking 150, 170 million. And I think from there, you've got to try and, get 2 or 3 in to balance the books. Obviously, Richarlison was probably going to play as the out-and-out 9 going forward, flanked by Kulusevski and Son. So we'll get to see what he's made of now. Because we know I'm a Richarlison fan and Morris isn't. Isn't that right, Morris?
Yeah, how do you think? Or mate, how do you think Brentford? How do you think Brentford are going to fare with without Tony? It's going to be
Yeah,
still
listen,
struggle, isn't
it's
it?
going to be and don't forget the other end of the pitch, David Raya,
Yeah, true.
Tony and Raya. You know, your
Although
starting
they
and
had,
your
although
starter
they
and your
had
finisher.
taken they had taken Raya out of the picture a bit towards the tail end of last season, didn't they?
No,
I thought they did. I thought they had wasn't that the issue? Isn't this what came about the move? Hadn't he taken him kind of out of the? I thought he had taken him out of the situation for the last 6, 7, 8 games or something like that. Or was he injured or something like that? I thought that's what's
he played
instigating the
pretty much
move.
every minute.
Oh, I thought he had taken him out towards the end, the last 5, 6 games or something like that. And so,
No,
um,
he played pretty much every minute of every game, even though they knew he was leaving the building. He was too good to take out of the team.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, listen, they've got the boy Flecking in from Freiburg. Looks a decent keeper. He's not David Raya, and he's a different sort of a keeper because he's not as big and as commanding. It's probably as good, if not better, with his feet, which is something Frank obviously wants. And he's a decent shot stopper, so he'll do well. But I still think Brentford could have done with another little sprinkling of magic. They're still short of a goal scorer. I know they're trying to get somebody in, but they haven't necessarily. We know how difficult that striker market is. They haven't been able to get their targets in yet. They made the boy Kevin Shade's loan move permanent in the summer, which was a good deal. But they still need goals at the top end of the pitch. You know, they really, really do. We know Brentford are combative, they're physical, they're dogged and resilient, they're tight at the back and stuff like that. But they do struggle without Tony, and they will struggle without Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Henry's in, but
Huge.
I think Spurs have squeezed out of Kane. So when he goes, if he goes, there won't be much left. I don't know. I think when Kane goes, I think you're going to see maybe an even better Harry Kane because he's probably
So
going to
do
be
I.
in a better team, and he's probably going to have to do less of the work that he does at the moment. Because if you look at the amount of work he puts in at
Less of the
Spurs,
donkey work.
yeah. But when you think
So
about that amount of work he puts in, that he surrenders in terms of the amount
at
of goals he would
Spurs,
score in a better team.
at
You know?
Spurs, Harry Kane is Roy the Rovers.
Yeah.
Whereas he doesn't need to be that if he goes to United, if he goes to Chelsea, you know what
Just
he'll be
focus on putting the
told.
ball in the back of the net. Just focus on
He'll
putting the
be
ball in the back of the
told,
net.
and I only listened to an interview yesterday. They were talking to Wayne Rooney, and they spoke to him about when he played as an out and out nine, for United, and he hit 32 seasons in a row for United as an out and out nine, and he said he absolutely hated playing as a nine. He said because I wasn't allowed to chase back. I was told not to tackle. I was told to stay inside the width of the posts and just be that finisher. He said, I absolutely detested it. He said, and everyone was like, wow, you're playing so well and this is going well and that's well. And he was like, he hated every minute of it because he wanted to play football. I think Harry Kane's the opposite. I think Harry Kane would love to be in a team where it was just being served up on a play from, and he just had to take 1, 2, boom, every time. Life would be a very, very easy day for him,
Because you can see with him at Spurs as well. He drops so deep at times to create stuff. It's madness. Like
He's almost an 8 at times. He's so deep.
yeah,
Not a
absolutely.
10, an 8.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which as your
sometimes you
number
see
9 is not good.
sometimes he's an 8, 9, and 10. It's madness,
Jesus,
like hopefully
absolutely.
Spurs build a team around Richarlison. Yeah, I'd like that.
I still think you'll eat those words, Morris.
Yeah. Fabrizio saying Liverpool are 100% doing a bit. Yeah, they are going 100% doing a bit, but I just look. I don't know. I think Ishado has decided on Chelsea, and Chelsea just need to pony up.
In the same way, I think Liverpool just need to pony up for Lavia and get the deal done, and just stop fucking about.
But see, we don't think he's worth the money. Acers, how hasn't Tottenham not bidded for Celtic? Yeah, Kyogo. Yeah, absolutely.
I actually think they're looking at a lad from Kilmore, Celtic, because it's a better standard of football at fucking Celtic. Don't forget.
Henry, I've got a show at 1 p.m.
Kyogo.
Saturday before my grandstand afternoon. Brilliant. Looking forward to it. Carvo's in. How are you, Carvo? Best of luck in the season coming up, Newcastle.
Yeah,
big
absolutely,
up, lads.
Carvo.
Absolutely.
Carvo, you missed out earlier on. I was just telling people, have little space in my heart, Carvo, for those black and white stripes. Just a little place I have, pal.
And we're not talking about the prison ones. We're talking about
No.
Newcastle.
Yeah, true enough.
Nice. There's Town Army in the house.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bonkers is in. Hey, it has. Brian. They're banking on Vissa and Mbuemo to get them to January and Tony back. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a stretch. I think Mbuemo's a great player. I think the boy Vissa is very, very hit and miss. I think he reminds me of an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's a guy that looks really well when he comes off the bench.
Yeah.
You know, and when he starts games, he's just not in it the way he needs to be.
Or kind of, if you look at a month, maybe he's a 9 once a month.
You know?
Right, the first Super Sunday comes up from the
Sorry,
bridge.
I didn't give you a prediction in the Spurs game.
Oh, did you not? No. Go ahead then.
I didn't. I'm going for a draw.
Okay.
I'm going 1-1.
Interesting. Maddison is going to make Spurs midfield better this season. Yeah, that goes without saying. Big up Bonkers. What's happening, Henry? So Chelsea versus Liverpool, the first Super Sunday from the bridge. We're going to be doing a preview tomorrow night on this, obviously. But I think it's tomorrow or Saturday. Check the channel, I'm not too sure. Yeah, what you thinking on this? And Kunku injured, which is obviously a big setback for them. Reece James made captain, which I think is a good choice.
It's a great choice.
Yeah,
I think
assuming he can stay fit. Assuming he can stay fit.
Obviously, yeah, but I mean, I also think even if he doesn't stay fit, he's a guy you want around the place. You know, he's a guy who's come through the academy at Chelsea. You know, he is, as you would say, Chelsea through and through.
Proper Chelsea.
I think it's a good guy to put the armband on. I really do. He's, you know, if he stays fit, he's the best right back in the country for me. If not in Europe, you know, he's a phenomenal footballer, this kid. Really, really, really love this lad. Hate saying it, but he's such a good footballer. Just needs to be a little bit more durable. But listen, having that armband can all of a sudden make that knock feel a little less painful. We've seen them do it before, you know, where teams have given an armband to somebody and gone, just want you to grow a little bit. Just want you to be a little bit taller, a little bit stronger, a little bit more physical.
Isn't that what we're hoping is going to happen with the 2 armbands we gave out?
So, you know, I think it's a good idea from Pochettino. I think Chelsea are going to absolutely love Pochettino. I think the Chelsea fans, I think the Chelsea players, I think the style they'll play. I think the overall picture at Chelsea is looking better than it was. I still think we're very scattergun with the recruitment. You know, obviously there's Cachedo's on your lips at the minute. You've got the boy Tyler Adams, who looks like he's getting done from Leeds at the minute. They've had a cup. They've just brought in the boy David from Brazil. There's another lad, the boy Andre, has come in. There's Leslie has come in from France. For all these lads at like 15 to 25 million. And I'm just like, are they firing that many shots in the hope that something sticks? Or have they...
Or is there a plan?
Or is there a plan? Now, if there's a plan, it could be unbelievable. It could be unbelievable. But I'm just not so sure of it yet. I think Pochettino's a great starting point. I think some of the players in Kunku, Jackson, you know, you've obviously got you've got Sanchez now, goalkeeper. You've got Reece James and Malo Gusto on the right. You've got Chilwell and Cucurella on the other side. You've got the French centre backs. You know, you've got Enzo in the middle. Mudryk, and it's starting to look better. It's absolutely starting to look better at Chelsea. I still think there's a couple of little tweaks to be made. Yeah,
big up Corvo. Some of them predicting there. Brian predicting a draw. Bonkers potentially. I don't think it'll be a 0-0. Certainly, I wouldn't be confident.
I actually have 1-1 on it.
1-1, do you?
Okay. I have 1-1 on it. Yeah.
That Newcastle documentary is out at midnight. Corvo was saying, I'm really looking forward to it. I seen the clip from.
Is it on Netflix or Amazon?
It looks brilliant. I presume it's Amazon, isn't it? I presume it's Amazon. Okay. But yeah, it looks really, really good. Eddie Howe looks brilliant in it. Some of the stuff, the clips are class. Ace saying, Goldbridge saying that United are going to prepare a 100 million bid for Kane. I wouldn't be surprised if someone signs a sneak in and stuff like that. But
Galbraith is an absolute toolbox. I'm calling it
yeah,
right out of the box.
I
He's
think
absolutely useless.
there's not too many
Dribble.
people. There's not too many people swoop in on Levy and get a deal done. He tears you over the coals, really, doesn't he?
So are we? Is what we're saying here? Are United coming in to match the Bayern bid, and then it's going to be down to Kane to say yay or nay. Now we heard coming into this window that United wanted 2 strikers. They wanted a senior striker and they wanted somebody at a junior level.
Project.
I think that goes out the window when you pay nearly 70 million for Højlund. 64 plus your add-ons. I think that's something that's met in the middle. I think we didn't get our top target maybe, and we didn't go in at a lower level, but we've kind of decided, right, we're going to get one, we're going to get a keeper in, we're going to get a couple of midfielders, we're going to get a centre-back, and the squad's going to look great, by the way. Really happy with the way the squad is looking. But I don't think we're going near Harry Kane for 100 million. I don't think we have the money.
Yeah, Corvo, just because you're laid in, Darren had mentioned earlier that Kane on a free next season could easily go to Newcastle and go to break Shearer's record and stuff like that. So yeah, that would.
I sure did. Corvo, I only think there's 3 clubs he can go to in the league. I think he can go to United. I think he can go to Newcastle. And I think he can go to Chelsea. They're the only 3 options I see Kane having next summer from the Premier League. Because I don't think the rest of them will be as appealing to him.
And Chelsea Liverpool, you went 1-1, didn't you? Was that right?
I went 1-1. I sure did, yeah.
Okay. Finally, then Monday night, Man United versus Wolves.
3-0.
Fair play to Wolves.
3-0, straight out of the box. Clean sheet for our new boy Onana. Really looking forward to seeing him. I got so frustrated. Now everybody knows. If you don't know, you should know. I had a massive love in with David De Gea. Absolutely loved him. Really, really did. He owed us absolutely nothing as a football club for what we paid for him. Was tremendous. But towards the end, it was a huge struggle for me watching him. And the FA Cup final in particular, which was our last game last season, obviously, where we watched him 49 times, I think it was, kick it to the Man City team. I just thought, this has to change. We can't play the football that our manager wants to play, with this lad and goal. So I'm looking for Onana to come in and have a huge season for us. I think he's done very well in pre-season. Very, very well. And then obviously looking to just be as solid as we were last season in all but 4 or 5 games, with a couple of blowouts. Other than that, we were pretty tight for most of the season. I think we'll cut out a lot of the mistakes. Will be hard to beat. I think Casemiro will be better with a year under his belt in the Premier League and stuff like that. I think Rashford will be right at it. I think Anthony will be at it, and Garnacho looked phenomenal in pre-season as well. So lots to like about it. Mount coming in, Bruno. Yeah, I only see good things coming to United. If I'm honest, I'm so positive at the minute about it. And I see 3-0 on Monday night, and I'll be looking forward to every single minute of it.
Yeah, it's probably the first window in a long time where you've been able to have that positivity in terms of cover, players coming in, the quality coming in. You're finally kind of seeing the Ten Hag picture evolve, and you've a lot of you're developing these options and all that kind of stuff. And I honestly think actually Monday night, Old Trafford, boisterous crowd, first game of the season. I think 3-0 might flatter Wolves. I think it could be worse. I think it could be a real bad night for Wolves.
I sure hope so. 3 do me though. I'll be grand with 3. 3-0. Let's go.
As it in, who's got the lucky 7 dazzler?
Mason, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Mason's got the lucky 7, yeah. I really expect him to have a huge season for us. I know our friend at GP Productions isn't a huge fan. I think he's going to have a massive season. I think
he's had a good pre-season, hasn't he? He's had a good pre-season.
Yeah, I think he's going to play really high. We're going to play with 2 8s with him and Bruno. And obviously Casemiro sitting at the 6. And we're going to play really high with Fernandes and Mount. I think the great thing for us is, obviously last season when we played at times, it's hard to go and press when you've got somebody maybe like an Eriksen who can't go and press because he hasn't got the legs. I think if you press now as a 5 and you press Anthony and you press Garnacho on the other side, or Rashford if Højlund is fit, and you press Højlund and you press Fernandes and Mount in behind and Casemiro on the back four step up. The back four step up, and all of a sudden the keeper's inside our own box nearly, or outside his own box. It just pushes everything in, tightens everything up everywhere. I think we're gonna get a lot of we're gonna get a lot of goals from, as you would say, turnovers. I think that's going to be huge for us this season.
I think you're going to look to make the pitch much smaller and suffocate teams. And I think that's his thinking.
Absolutely.
I think
that's
similar to what we did. Similar to what
Absolutely.
we did.
And the other thing I do like the idea of as well is, I think at times, and, Eriksen did a great job for us, so I'm certainly not jumping on him. But I think Eriksen looked to give the ball to Bruno for Bruno to make the pass. I think Mount has a huge amount of self-belief there. And I think if Bruno's in a better position, he probably gives it. But I think at times he'll do it himself and he'll go, I can do this. And then it becomes more difficult because, we can't just sit in this guy and leave this guy free because he's the ability to hurt us. We know he can strike from distance as well, and vice versa. So it makes things a lot more difficult for opposing teams as well.
Yeah, I think you'll have Mount in there. He'll have plenty to prove, especially in terms of the Chelsea situation. I think with Bruno, I think now being the actual captain and all that Maguire stuff gone away, probably, I think you'll see a different Bruno Fernandes than last year. I think there was a lot of, mud flinging and slinging and crap and all that kind of went on. He's now the club captain and that's it, and move on with it. And I think you'll see different. I think this season you're going to see a more mature Bruno there, I say, with less petulance, with less kind of stupidity and stuff like that. I think he'll have gotten that kind of out of him. I think there was a lot.
I think one of the other things that I think at times it was a frustration.
Yeah.
But if you've got a De Gea behind you who's maybe passing the ball to the opposition, or you've got Maguire, behind you who can slip up and cause a mistake and stuff like that. Yeah. It's hard to stay calm.
There's an anxiety about
focus on
anxiety about you. Yeah.
Whereas, and even getting around the midfield, you're like, I'm pushing here, I'm pushing, but I can't push too much because the guy beside me can't make the step. So all of a sudden, you look around and you trust what's in those, the square pegs and the square holes a little more.
You're not double jobbing.
All right.
You're not double jobbing.
All right, I got this. We got this, right? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think with Onana as well, you have a guy there who'll keep people in check as well. He won't be scared to have a pop if he needs to. No. That's for sure. Right, let's get into Beat the Bookie. First one of the season. Give us your theory and give us your picks.
Here's what I'm going for, right?
Kind of good stuff.
So here's what I'm going for. I always like to have a couple of bets. This year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 bets every week, right?
Yeah.
So one of them's going to be almost what you'd call a banker. Something short, 4, 5, 6 to 1. That if I put one of me tenors on that and I get it up, covers me. My second one will be, in around that 10, 12, 15 to 1, where it's a little more of a stretch, but it's not nuts. And then my third one will be the one that I'm reaching a little bit, but the one that you're looking to get hold of, right? So that's where I'm going. Now, we've gone very gently, obviously, for week 1 at the in the Big Brother house, but this is what we've got. So I'll start off. Arsenal at home against Forest.
Yeah.
I got Brighton at home against Luton.
Yeah.
I've got United at home against Wolves.
Yeah.
And I've got Bournemouth at home against West Ham.
Okay.
And that's a tidy little 5 to 1 accumulator.
It's all right. Tenner on that.
So if
money for the weekend.
Tenner on that covers me for the weekend. And that leaves me with maybe a couple of other bets where I can go a little bit further, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My second bet is a double. Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle and Villa, 2 draws.
Okay.
12 to 1. Yeah?
Yeah.
Not a stretch by any imagination.
Not far off our thinking.
No.
I love the draw bets.
You do. And then
you've been reeled into the odds now as well. You're looking at
what there was just
nice.
That wasn't like I looked at my favorite bet is result about to score. I couldn't pick one this weekend.
Yeah.
I think there could be a lot of clean sheets. Everybody's going to be at it, and I think some teams are a little bit blunt at times, so I don't necessarily think we'll have goals everywhere. Some teams are kind of nailed on for me and others weren't and stuff. And my last one, I've just gone for a goal scorer bet. So I've gone Friday night. I've gone with the big Viking, Erling Haaland.
Yep.
Saturday, I've gone with Eberechi Eze for Palace.
Okay.
Been in flying form. I've gone with Julio and Ciso at Brighton. Again, been in flying form. Loves the thunderbolt from outside the box. Scored a number of them towards the end of last season. And then I've rounded it out with Monday night, Marcus Rashford. And that bet is 28-1.
Not too bad.
Well, I mean, if you're taking Haaland away at Burnley and Rashford home against Wolves, right? They're what I would describe as the two bankers in the bet.
Yeah.
You're getting 28-1 for Eze and then Ciso.
Yeah.
It's not a bad bet.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So I've gone 5-1, 12-1, 28-1. So I've got me little steps with my new theory. Yeah.
I like the theory. Works for me. Works for me because you're covering your money with your first bet, and then you're free for the weekend.
I hope so. I sure hope so.
Using the bookies ones. I kind of took a different approach as I tend to do. First week back, I've been dying for this.
Did you take the Todd Bowley approach? Did you go in, locked and loaded?
I walked into Smith's and I bought all the Nerf guns.
Quality.
But it's a stretch, but not. Look, would you be surprised? I don't know. The first one is my draw bet. I picked 4 draws. And you can let me know what you think on this one, on the odds and stuff like that. I did go for a mad one Friday night. Burnley versus Man City is in there at 9-2.
Okay.
So I stuck it in there just to have a bit of fun, kick off the weekend. Then I matched your double. I went with Newcastle and Aston Villa, and I went with Chelsea and Liverpool is in there as well. So our thinking isn't too far away at all for your double.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. I like that.
And then I rounded it out with Brentford versus Tottenham. So they're my 4. Now I know the City one is a stretch, but
that must be huge odds, that bet.
What are you thinking?
Well, it's 4. Well, if you talk 12 for the first two, 12 and 3, 12, 3, 3, 6, like 40 times, I reckon you're going like 200-1 nearly.
250-1.
I wasn't miles out. I was all right there. Yeah.
Yeah, good shout. Diaby as well. Yeah, he's going to look cool for Villa this year.
I think if you missed it, Corvo, I big Diaby up. I think at 6.5 million, he's the best money in fantasy football as midfielders go, because goals and assists, this kid is fucking king. He'll have lots of starman performances, likes to torment defenses. I think Diaby's the best money in the game right now.
That's a sensible approach there, Corvo. If we can get out of the game with a draw against Villa, I'll take it. That's a great show. A lot of Newcastle fans may not think that way because they'll want to, they'll be expecting to.
They'll want to get out of the traps quick, but I think Corvo's making sense. I think Villa are going to be a huge team this season, and I think there's a lot of teams that will play against Villa home and away and think, get out of it with a point here and keep ticking over. We're all right,
Yeah. Now here's an interesting one for you because again I used your double in this. I did result on both teams to score.
Very good.
So what I did was I went with Arsenal versus Forest, result on both teams to score.
Yeah.
Which is a stretch. I mean, United versus Wolves.
Another stretch.
I don't know whether you're going to cough up a goal or not. But again,
and when I looked at it, like they were 2 of the teams I looked at, but I'm not sure either of them will concede.
Yeah,
they could, but I think it's a stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the 2 that actually would make up a nice double if you want to look at it to get a bit better odds as well. I went with Chelsea and Liverpool, both teams to score and a draw. And I went with Newcastle and Aston Villa, both teams to score and a draw. They're 3-1 and 7-2. So the
Yeah.
whole odds 125 to 1 for that one. But that could be a nice little double as well, similar to your double, but just both teams to score and result.
You really did go in with the Nerf guns, didn't you?
I did.
All Nerf guns blazing.
Now, similar to yourself, I did a goal scoring bet as well, which I don't think is a stretch, and it's 55 to 1, which I think is really good odds, right? So I went with the Viking, of course, Erling Haaland. I think he'll be in there nearly most weeks, depending on how he starts and stuff like that. I went with Gabriel Martinelli against Nottingham Forest for Arsenal.
Okay.
I like the way he cuts in on the left, in onto the right, and stuff
onto
like
the
that,
right side. Yeah, absolutely.
and let's fly.
And he's a guy, if you wanted to play Trossard and him, one can come inside and the other to come outside. So you could have Martinelli play as the 9 and Trossard play wide, or you could let Trossard come in and play as the false and let him come out and tuck in, which would keep somebody guessing, you know. Very hard to mark when they keep coming across the line like that.
I look back as well, and I looked at Martinelli, and he tends to start seasons fast as well.
Yeah, he's a good footballer, the kid Martinelli really is. I like him.
One that I think you'd probably describe nearly as a banker, Evan Ferguson for Brighton against Luton.
Yeah, I think provided he starts, you know, I think he'll have chances and I think he'll score.
Yeah, and then the final one, actually I have 2 more. Actually, I did 5 in this, actually. I'm mistaken on it. The last 2 I put in were both from the same match. So I did Alexander Isak for Newcastle, and I put in Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa. So that gives me 55 to 1. 5 goal scorers: Haaland, Martinelli, Evan Ferguson, Alexander Isak, and Ollie Watkins.
I gotta say, I absolutely love the boy Alexander Isak. Love him. I think he's a great footballer. I don't think he gets enough goals for me. That's the only criticism I would have of the lad. Like his build-up play, and I don't know if Corvo's still there in the chat. I think his build-up play, I think the way he attracts defenders, the way he moves with the ball at his feet, his vision, everything. I think the one problem we have, if I'm a Newcastle fan, is he just doesn't score enough goals yet.
Yeah, I think that can change. Second season could change, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think that can change.
Second season could change.
But I do think, you know, and don't forget, he was injured for a lot of last season as well, the lad.
That's
he
right,
was just getting back to fitness and stuff like that. And he's had a decent pre-season. I seen him in a couple of games and he looked electric. You know, and lots to come at Newcastle. You know, Anthony Gordon to have a big season, Harvey Barnes, you know, Alexander Isak, Tonali, you know, Wilson, Bruno Guimaraes.
It's very exciting, isn't it?
Tino Livramento. You pay 35 million to a guy who's going to play backup to Kieran Trippier. Like this is getting big. Newcastle, big things to come, man.
Unless Howe has something interesting up his sleeve about Trippier or something like that, who knows? You know what I mean? He could have something in his mind there.
I think the one thing with Trippier is, you know, he's super, but he is starting to just get on a little bit. And you can see at times, you know, last 20 minutes in the game, he just starts to just dip a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And with Newcastle being involved in Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, League, like you're going to play 38 games in the league. Let's say you played 4 games in all the other cups, right? You get 6 in the Champions League, right? Let's say you go 2 and another 2, whatever. You play 12. You have 50 games there.
Yeah.
Kieran Trippier can't start 50 football matches. He might, at a stretch, be able to start, 30 of them.
Well, maybe he could start them, but he might not finish them.
Listen, I'd say when they're home against Luton, when they're home against Luton, you're going to see Livramento. I think Trippier for Wednesday night versus Inter at the San Siro. I think that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, I think with Newcastle, I think they're going to have to be careful this season as well. In terms of the domestic cups, I think they're going to have to really decide where their focus is and stuff like that. Being back in the Champions League.
If you're Newcastle, for me, your focus should be getting top 4 again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And consolidating, making it as if we just do this every year. Getting that feeling of top 4. That's the minimum.
Making Newcastle really attractive. Really attractive.
Absolutely.
As well,
where they're not, will they be, won't they be, will they be,
Yeah.
won't they be?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into our predictions for the season. You got to give me your top 7, and then you
Yeah.
got to give me your bottom 3. And Mark, our resident referee, who's going to be returning to the Monday mashup, he was speaking with me the other day. He also sent in his predictions as well. So I have them on the phone there, so I'll give you them as well.
Yep.
Carvo's back in, first of all. Isaac is something else. Love the big, sexy Swede. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
The funny thing about him as well, you know what? He's a killer as well, and he's so unassuming as well. You would think butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, and he'll absolutely tear you up. Livramento might have to play left back for us on Saturday and Burn at centre back because Shar ain't fully fit. Not here. We won't be too upset about that option. 100% top 4 is the bread and butter for us right now. Yeah, absolutely. Cement that situation in there, yeah. Right. And chat as well, if you can, give us your top 7 and your bottom 3. Who's going to get relegated and who's going to be... We're going top 7, of course, because of the 5th place for the Champions League. We're assuming we're going to get 5 places, Champions League.
Okay, top 7. You ready?
Yep. Hit me.
Manchester City.
Yep.
Manchester United.
Okay.
Arsenal.
Now, just before you go any further, we're assuming that on the basis of this, we're assuming that targets are going to be landed. So when I was doing this and I was looking at United, I was assuming Amrabat, I was assuming Pavard or a player. I was assuming you would get your targets in. That's where I was coming from. Yeah, go.
Yeah, well, listen, that's... if we had to go in with what we have now, I'm still calling it this way, but I still think we'll make... Cool. I'm going City. I'm going United. I'm going Arsenal.
Daz is saying he needs your fantasy Premier League for tomorrow.
Good man, Daz. I'll hit you up on that, pal. City, United, Arsenal.
Yeah.
I'm going tentatively Newcastle.
Yeah.
I'm going Liverpool.
In 5th, yeah.
Villa.
Yeah.
And Chelsea.
Interesting.
How close / far away are we?
Well, I'm probably going to shock you, but we're pretty close, except I don't see my team being anywhere near that. I think we're a mess. And I think we're serious trouble.
No, listen. I think you're light in a couple of areas. I absolutely think you're light. But I think if I look at other areas, I'm like, well, they got that guy and they got that guy. And, you know, like, I think if you can get...
Look at what's happening. The likelihood is on Sunday you're going to see McAllister in a 6. The likelihood on Sunday you're going to see Gakpo in an 8. The likelihood on Sunday you're going to see Robbo as a left central defender. This is...
Yeah, and listen, I get that, but I think over the season quality will show out. I do. And I think, like, there is enough quality in that squad. It definitely needs 3 new bodies. Minimum. It definitely needs a centre-back. It definitely needs somebody that can play at right-back. Listen, I think, and I got to be honest, I said it to you earlier, I think the Pavard thing that's a no-brainer for you guys. You know, I think that's a no-brainer. I think he plays right-back. He can move in and play right-sided centre-back. I think if you play him with Trent can push. He can drift wider to cover the space. Van Dijk can shuffle across. I think he let Trent invert as well. I think that's a no-brainer. I don't know why you're not looking at somebody, i.e. Pavard, who you are linked to, or somebody of a similar ilk that can do jobs like that.
This is my concern. We've just been shocking. Like, it's just...
I think you're missing, obviously. And I think if you buy a Pavard, you don't then need a centre-back and a right-back. So if you buy one and you make it universal, so to speak, you know, you get away with one sign. It cuts down on the amount of money you're gonna have to outlay. I think you need a 6 badly. That's you know, I think that's glaringly obvious to everybody. I think you need a 6 because I think obviously with Fabinho leaving and with Henderson leaving, it's leaving you massively exposed through the middle of the pitch. I think McAllister's a great footballer. I think Szoboszlai is going to be very good for you guys as well. but offensively, not defensively. He's not a defensive player at all. And if I look at kind of what you've got there, unless, and this is a huge unless they're going to sit and make Thiago the 6 and let him just sit in front of the back 4 in that double pivot position where he just opens, takes the ball, turns, and just plays and does not move. That's the only player I can see who could possibly do something for you guys as a 6 is Thiago. Like, Szoboszlai won't play there. McAllister, he will play there. He's not your answer. You don't want him playing as your 6 because then you lose out on that 8, which is box to box, which links defense and attack. And I think, Jones and Elliott, as good as both of them are much more 8s or 10s than a 6. So I think 6 is really important for you guys to get done.
Talk today of Thiago exiting the building, and also talk of Jones potentially going out to Crystal Palace, potentially on either a loan or a move. So
that, you just could not let Curtis Jones leave the building right now with the amount of bodies and gaps in the squad.
Here.
That would be suicidal.
We could make no mistake about it. I'm not saying we should, but that's the way it is. Daz is in. Interesting one. He's gone with United, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Spurs, Villa, and Newcastle. So he's Newcastle.
Is he going in that order?
I presume so. I presume that's the way he's done it, is he? I presume United. Is he going United?
I'm making the assumption, but I don't think either United or Liverpool are finishing above City, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
That would be a huge stretch for me.
Yeah,
and I don't see Spurs finishing above Villa or Newcastle either, by the way. I think that's a huge stretch as well.
Yeah. Ian's going for Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle, and Tottenham. Okay. Jack's in, Anfield Road TV. Big up, Jack, lad. Good to see it. And Daz, big up, Jack, lad. Hope you are well today. I'll give you, there's Morris's is in there as well. City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Newcastle, Spurs, and Chelsea.
He's gone A. He's gone A. However, he's not miles away. I would swap Chelsea with Spurs. Yeah. And I think, now here's the other thing, by the way, and I didn't mention, I think City, United, and Spurs are your 3 favourites at the minute. Right? But I think of Liverpool, Villa, Newcastle, and Chelsea, I think any one of them could finish 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, depending on who gets it going. And I think it's going to be really, really small margins come the end of the season. You could have 2 or 3 teams going into that last day trying to secure that 4th/5th spot and get Champions League football. I think it'll be very, very close. I think that could be the highlight of our final day.
Interesting. I went with this 7. I went with Man City. I went with Arsenal 2nd, United 3rd, Newcastle 4th. I went with Aston Villa 5th. I can't deny the work Emery has done and the full season and everything else. Yeah. I'm going with Chelsea in 6th, Liverpool in 7th.
So you went the exact same 7 teams as me, just a slight different order.
Yeah,
and actually there was only small variations. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could switch United with Arsenal and switch Chelsea, I think, with Liverpool, or Villa with Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I just think Villa are just a bit better structured at the moment. Jack is in. City 1st, Arsenal 2nd, Liverpool 3rd, and Villa 4th. Interesting. So
hi, Jack. We're Manchester United. Would you like to tell us where we are, pal? Just like to know, Jack.
The secret is in the name.
I knew that. I knew that.
I think United are going to have a big say, and I think Newcastle are going to have a big say. But it'll be interesting. Villa, I'm so excited to see them play. Yeah, I think they're going to be.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to be part of them. I think very quickly, depending on how our season goes, I could see myself enjoying a lot of Villa football, and not too much of our own potentially. Carvo, will be such a fight between us and Villa for Europe next season. Therefore, yeah, absolutely. Should be interesting the way it goes. Right, let's go relegation. Chat, give us your relegation bottom 3. Not in any particular order if you don't want to. Just give us the 3 you think are going to get relegated and your thoughts on it. Why? We'd like to know why. Darren, start us off. Kick us off with your 3.
Wolves, Luton, Sheffield United.
Not too bad. We agreed on 2.
Yeah.
We agreed
Who
on
have you
2.
swapped out? If you swap, I know who you swapped out.
Well, you know where I'm going to go because I just believe I don't think they've done anything near what they need to do, and I don't believe that a full pre-season under a certain kind of balding ginger man is not going to be
No,
enough to get them there.
they'll be better than they were, and you'll get 1-0s. They'll nick 1-0s. That's what they'll do. They'll make a living out of that. Out of nicking games 1-0 at Goodison Park, and it'll just be enough to get them where they need to be. But they're a better team than Wolves. They're a better team than Luton, and they're a better team than Sheffield United, if you ask me. Have you swapped Everton with Wolves?
I swapped Everton with Sheffield United. So I went Wolves, Everton, and Luton. That's who I'm going with. And again, I would say I have a reason why, and it's not because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I think Everton just keep on rolling the dice, and I just think there's serious issues there at the moment. Remember, they also have the threat of the FFP stuff hanging over them, don't they? And the points deduction and all that kind of stuff, which could land them in serious trouble as well. And I'm kind of thinking if that came to fruition. And there hasn't been much talk about it not being the case. I haven't heard a lot about it except that it was put out there. So, whereas, with the other teams, there's normally a lot of dialogue about it and reasoning and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So with this, it's been very, very quiet, which leads me to believe there might be something to answer. Daz is spot on. Daz went the same as me. Wolves, Everton, and Luton, spot on. And Jack is in. Everton. No surprise there at all, Jack.
I like it.
No surprise at all.
I like that, Jack. Funny.
I have to agree with Carvo. Everton relegated, please, and thank you. That team sickens my stomach. Yeah, it absolutely does. Everton remind me of a seagull that just flew full whack into a car windscreen. It's interesting you mentioned that. I was going up onto the motorway there with Hillary about 2 weeks ago, and either an eagle or a hawk came down to pick up either a small rabbit or a rat or whatever it is outside the motorway, and he went to take off, and when he took off, he was flying to take off into the air, and he hit the side of our car. You want to hear the whack it hit? It was like a deer had hit it or something like that. Crazy. Jack is in. United should easily get top 4. Just the worry of getting injuries up top end the pitch. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a worry for every team, isn't it, really? If your top end guys get injured and your goals dry up, but that's going to be a problem for any team, No different than if we were to lose Salah or Jota the way we did, or Diaz and all. Look, it affected us greatly as well, So, so that's it. Our first Thursday tier talk is in the bag. Our bets are in the bag. Our predictions are in the bag. We can no longer deny them. They're on camera in front of people. Big thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Big up to Anfield Road TV. Jack, check out his channel as well. I'm going to be back on there with him doing a lot of stuff this season. Carvo, keep that Newcastle stuff going. Really, really enjoying it. Everyone else, Daz is there every week. Henry's there every week. Morris is there every week. Big up to all you guys in the chat and stuff like that. Acer's here all the time. Eno's here all the time. Really appreciate your support, folks, this season as well. It's going to be somewhat a long, tough season, I would imagine. Redbird was in earlier as well. Brian was in. All you people in the chat, you're all absolute legends. So until next time, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification. Drop a like on the video. I'm going on my holidays on Monday, so I'm not going to have to worry about football too much, hopefully. I will be dropping a few recorded videos, so we will bring you some footage from over there. I'm going off to Orlando to have a great time, Disney and all that. Don't have to worry about football. But until next time, folks, have a safe weekend. Enjoy the return of the Premier League coming at you tomorrow night. 8 o'clock, I think, is the kickoff the Monday night from Turf Moor. Yep. Certainly going to be interesting. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers.
Take it easy, buddy.